How do you think the Cowboys players feel about the quarterback situation?
Listen, I think in every locker room, guys just got to understand there are certain decisions you have control over and there are certain you don't have control over. And, I think in our years, I'll never forget we went through this with, Tony Banks and Trent, to where the coach called us in and said, I'm possibly going to make a quarterback change.
Called who in?
Me and Shannon and Rob Burnett and Michael McCrary and
Rod Woodson.
Okay. Yeah, and a bunch of us in, and he
just the leaders.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay.
And he just basically said, Skip, he was like, look, I think I'm gonna make this quarterback this change, and I want to know how you guys feel about it. But that was because it was bad. When it's good, you don't have that discussion, right? And
So, by the way, and you guys responded how?
Oh, well, I mean, we were.
You want me to say what I said? Or you
Yes. I want
What
to hear.
took so long?
Really?
Yes, he
Okay.
did. He was the most vocal. He was the most vocal.
Hey,
in it.
I call it like I see it, Skip.
Yeah.
When it comes to football, when it comes to playing sports, and I'm about winning, my friends take a back seat to winning.
Right.
Was he a friend, Banks?
He was a teammate.
Okay.
But it's the same thing. If Ray is not getting the job done,
Right.
and another guy comes in, me and Ray still gonna be hanging out cool. Yeah. But Ray, you can't play tomorrow.
Right, but because
I don't think that was ever in anybody's mind, right?
But so it's really interesting because it's like if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right?
Right.
I mean, how do you make 5-1 better? You don't make 5-1 better unless you go to 6-0. So 5-1, and when you look at what Dak and Ella is able to do together, they have a chemistry. Whether you want to say it whatever it is or not, that offensive line protects Dak.
Yes.
Him being young, so he has an ability. But if you watch this kid in college, the same way he commands a football field now, playing for the Cowboys, he did that at Mississippi State.
I agree.
Elliott, the same exact runner. Physical, always talking about feed me more. They have this thing together that if you want to disturb things and shake things up, you bring Romo back, right? Because that's your guy, whatever. But Skip, I'm gonna tell you something. And my entire career since high school, I was never, ever, I'd never beat nobody out of a job. Just never beat nobody out of a job. I was just never, I guess, big enough, fast enough, whatever, to ever beat nobody out of a job. But I tell you one thing I never did. When somebody lost their job to me, they never got it back.
Okay.
Yeah, because once you gave me the opportunity,
Yeah.
right, then if you're behind me and you give me that opportunity, I promise you when people look at film, coaches say, I can't pull him out. Even if I want to pull him out, I can't pull him out because he's what I'm looking for. If you're talking about the Dallas Cowboys and the next generation of what Dallas looks like, because we can go through the history of Dallas for the last 20 years, how many times they have not made the playoffs or made the playoffs. Some with Romo, some without Romo. But when you see what this young kid has the ability to do, and how you got to watch his swagger. His swagger is really confident when he's behind in that pocket. And I don't know if you change that. I just really don't know if you change that.
I would not change it either. And for the first time since Romo, I mean, if you think about it, once they transitioned from Troy Aikman, they were searching for a quarterback.
Yeah.
They traded for Drew Bledsoe. They had Quincy Carter, they had this guy, had all these guys. Okay, then they found Romo. And now they got Dak. And I believe Dak can provide something that Tony couldn't.
Yeah.
I 1,000% disagree that you can't lose your job because you're injured. It doesn't matter. If the guy's in there and he's playing unbelievable, how do you give him the job back? Right. If you notice, Tom Brady tries to take all the reps. Peyton Manning tried to take all the reps. John Elway wanted to take all the reps. You know why? Because I'm not giving you another chance. I don't want you for 1 second to think you could get this guy at 30% on the dollar. Because if you're like, well, hold on. We paying him X. And we can play this dude, we can pay this dude like D, which is nothing. Why do we need to pay him back? And that's how I got my job. Yeah. All the tight ends, every tight end, I mean, think about this, Skip. Every tight end on the Broncos roster. Clarence K got hurt. Orson Mobley got hurt.
Yep.
They signed Chris Verhulst from Houston when it was no free agent, it was plan B. They signed him. I'm a receiver.
Yep.
All those guys got hurt.
Right.
Mike Shanahan, Steve Antonopoulos, who's the athletic trainer, says Dan Reeves wants to meet with you. Man, my heart sunk. I'm like, man.
You about to go.
Eight games in, he gonna cut me? Right. I'm like, I thought I was doing. He says, what do you think about moving to tight end? my first words out of my mouth, am I going to get to play? He's like, yeah, you're going to have to learn to play. I'm saying to myself, okay. I'm saying okay, but I'm like, I barely know the receiver plays. You talking about learning the tight end plays. Skip, nobody wants to be Wally Pipp. The guy had a headache one day.
He did.
Lou Gehrig started that day. And 2,100 and how many games later, he was still starting. What they have is magical.
It's magical.
You don't recapture it. You got it right now.
Right.
Ride it, Skip. Ride it.
Because if you change it,
you'll never get it back again.
Never get it back again.
Never. Nope.
And yeah.
By the way, Joy, I'm in shock over here at all the positivism coming out of his mouth about my Cowboys, right?
Skip.
Okay.
You've been around this. You've been around this a long time.
I have.
And you know when you get something, you know when it's special.
You know, you just took the words out of my mouth. I have been covering NFL teams dating back to Don Shula's Dolphins in '75. I was here for the first go-round of the LA Rams. I covered them for the LA Times back in the later '70s. So I've seen a few things in a few locker rooms. I have never, ever seen anything like this, to the point that sometimes at night I'm pinching myself saying, hold on, it's only 6 games. Are you sure about this kid taking over this locker room with that guy coming back? That guy is 36 years of age. That guy has multiple Pro Bowls. That guy 2 years ago could have made a case that he should have been the MVP. And I'm talking about Tony Romo, obviously. And that guy, Tony Romo, is not just friends with Jason Witten, he is best friends with the other guy perceived to be the locker room leader on this team. They are this close.
Yes.
They vacation together. Okay? Cole Beasley loves him some Tony Romo, which was significant. We just saw that quote.
Right.
He's staying after practice catching Romo's passes. No disrespect to Dak, but it's just they had a connection.
Right.
Tony sort of discovered him as a little kid out of SMU and brought him along, 5 foot 8 inches tall, and helped make him a commodity in this league, like a force, a little force in this league. And then you can't tell me that Dez Bryant doesn't love him some Tony Romo, because how many 50-yard jump balls, ill-advised, did Tony Romo heave in Dez's direction over the last 5 years?
He will force
just
feed
see
Dez.
Dez, I'll just throw it up.
Yes.
He's going to go get it.
Right.
So Dez has to have some reservoir of trust in Tony and love for Tony, because they've been to battle together, right?
Dez gonna love Dak too, but go ahead.
I got it. I got it. Although they haven't had much rapport so far, I
Right.
haven't seen much of it. But my point is, we're talking about a 4th-round rookie quarterback. I don't think in the annals of pro football this has happened where the kid came in and took over the locker room the way this kid, who doesn't look like a kid to me. Right. He's 23. He looks like he's 33 to me. The way he carries himself, even his facial features, he looks like a grown man to me, right? He talks like a grown man because he says all the correct things that you would have said under fire, under pressure, at some turning point in the season when the media came to you. Ray, what's the answer? You would have given the right answer. Yeah. He keeps giving the right answer, saying the right thing at the right time, to the point that he even said, we can win without Dez Bryant. I told you that was a turning point to me, because he believed it, and then he went out and proved it. 3 straight games they won without Dez Bryant, to the point that I think even a Jason Witten, Tony's best friend on the team, is saying what you guys are saying. Wait a second. We got something real here. It's going. I'm sorry, Tony. To your point, I still love you, still want to go on vacation with you and your wife, but nope. I think the kid is real, and I'm going to follow the kid because I think he can take me a long way.
And when we go on vacation with our wives, we can have Super Bowl rings.
Well, maybe.
and plus, you got to look. And the lady there, what most people will remember is the Tom Brady, Drew Bledsoe.
Okay.
Right.
But Brady wasn't playing as well as this kid is playing. Although now Drew Bledsoe was more accomplished because he had already taken the team to the Super Bowl. So he was more accomplished than what Tony Romo is. Tom Brady wasn't playing as well as Dak Prescott is playing.
I agree.
He's playing.
He wasn't.
We went through a similar situation in 1998, the year we won the Super Bowl. John hurt his hamstring. Bubby came in. We averaged more yards per game. We averaged more points per game. But it was in nobody's mind that when John got healthy, John was going to be our quarterback because of what he possessed. He was an MVP. He had just won. He was the quarterback that won the Super Bowl the year before, and plus he had already been to 3 previous Super Bowls. He was regarded as one of the top 2 or 3 quarterbacks in all of football. So we knew Bubby wasn't going to be the starter once John got healthy. My only thing to Bubby is like, look, this is a Ferrari. Don't script the gears.
Sure.
That's all. Just keep it in first and just go down the road.
Right, and it also it almost goes back to this point. The bottom line is, listen, your Romo, whatever. The point is, if he's a Super Bowl quarterback, he come back and get that job.
Right.
Immediately he comes back and get that job, but he hasn't touched that yet. And if this is what your future looks like, you don't change that. If Skip, I'm telling you something. If you change this now in that locker room and it does not go right, that chemistry may never come back again.
I agree.
Because when you hot, you hot.
Ride it.
And you ride that wave.
ride
Man, you don't ever come off that wave. Because the moment you come off it, it's like, why did I do that? Right? And if Romo, then it's me, just being straight up with Romo. And if Romo is a 100% team player, Romo lets this wave ride until this young boy finds himself in some trouble later.
I hear you. My other issue with Tony Romo, I've said this many times, I'm not sure he was a born leader. He's a player now. He's got lots of talent. He's a big playmaker, but I'm not sure he was ever the leader of the team. And because this team does not have, obviously, a Ray Lewis on defense or even a Shannon Sharpe at tight end with your personality, your dominant personality and take over the locker room personality, the locker room was there for the taking.
Right.
He took it because it's not like he has to answer to Ray. Ray, am I doing okay over here? No. He's become, to me, from a distance, the leader
That
in
guy.
the locker room.
Yeah. He's that guy.
Because if you look at Tony Romo's personality is not out.
Right.
He's not the guy that's like, okay, guys, follow me.
No.
He's not going to call the team meeting. That's not who he is.
I agree.
Now, you can look, whether you're born great or you have greatness thrust upon you. You looking at Dak Prescott, he looks like a guy that was born to be great.
Absolutely.
You look at the way
Since college.
You look at the way he carries himself.
absolutely.
Now, look, I'm not the biggest Cowboy fan, and everybody can attest to that. But I know what I see in this kid.
Yeah.
This kid has it. And either you have it or you don't.
It'll never change.
Look, they can throw all the money in the world at you. They can say, you're the quarterback of the Cowboys and all this you want to say. Either you have that, what is inside of you, that's God-given, that you're born with, or you don't. Now, they can give, Tony Romo has the C, but Tony Romo's not the leader of that team.
I agree.
Because that's not his personality.
It's not.
Look, I was never elected captain.
Right.
But they guys in that locker room would follow me as quick as anybody else in that and that included John. It was just the way you carry the swagger, the way you carried yourself, and the way you talk, and they listen to you.
Yeah.
This kid here,
This kid reminds you of what the old Cowboys, when you used to walk in those stadiums, 94, 95, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, that crew, you knew what you was going to get. When you watch the Dallas Cowboys, it's a totally different thought process than the way you think about when Romo is playing. It's like, oh, will he mess it up? Right?
Right.
Will he finish it?
That is true.
Yeah.
I would often think, will he mess this up?
Will he mess it up?
You know?
That's his story, right? Going through the years. This boy Dak gives you different thought process when you really think about the Cowboys.